everybody. My name is Steve Smith, editor of PHC News Magazine. Welcome back to PHCPPros Live. We're doing a series of interviews at the ASPE Convention right from our booth. And my next guest is Wade A. Tennant, Director of Marketing for Legend Valve. Wade, thanks for coming on board here today.
Steve, thanks
Wade,
for having me.
We were talking beforehand, I haven't seen you. Brad and I probably visited you in 2019. I think you're fairly new then.
Sure.
Now, a lot's changed since 2019.
Oh my goodness.
Pandemic, COVID, how's it all affected Legend?
Well, first and foremost, coming through the pandemic, we're doing exceptionally well, right? But just like everybody in the industry, we've had our challenges, right? So as per the last time you were out to visit us, we were just starting some major some investments for our technologies, and they've assisted us in pulling us through. But before we get into that, the pandemic specifically, right? So what happened during that period of time? Well, supply chain constraints have been massive to us, right? They put tremendous amount of pressure on both our inbound call, right, for the customer service side, as well as dealing with our suppliers, right? So many of our products come from overseas, and just trying to get those booked, get them on shipping containers, looking at the cost constraints of shipping containers. There were a number of instances where containers got out of line for costs. That was on the shipping inbound, right? So getting containers from overseas, right? Costs went from $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 per 40-foot container to $25,000, right? And there were some bids that were larger than we were willing to pay, right? So shipping got backed up, as it did for everybody. And of course, then we've got to deal with the inbound trucking and delivery, right? Once it reached our shores. So like everybody, we've had to deal with that. And that's put an immense amount of pressure on our supply chain team, and just trying to work with so that everything doesn't arrive at once.
Right.
And so that's, based on some investments we'd made beforehand, we had expanded the facility in Auburn Hills, right? Which has allowed us to put a more receivables dock in place. It's been accommodating to that, which has been, again, part of a smart investment for us beforehand, not knowing what was going to happen, right? And of course, then our customer service team has taken a tremendous amount of inbound calling around back orders, right? Because of the supply chain constraints. We've, for the first time in our existence, really had to deal with being out of certain product lines, which is not something we're known for. Legend and Valve has always been, hey, we're overstocked. We've always got what you need, right? Everything you need behind the wall, we've got it. So that's been a challenge for us, where we've just had a lot of outbound calling based around customers finding out, hey, where are our items, so on and so forth, right? So that's been a challenge for us. And again, if you know about Legend, our performance guarantees, and I'll cover those a little bit later in our conversation as well, but keeping up to speed, our performance guarantees are all about how we actually perform in the market with the 100% order accuracy, 100% fulfillment. And that for the first time has been a challenge for us, because we're typically not. So, we potentially had to step up and pay on some of our, pay a 5% discount on the fact that we had to back order items. It's been but we've come through it.
Yeah.
And right now we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel.
I was going to ask you.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, have some of the price increases at least plateaued? Have they gone down?
So
are you able to get shipping containers?
So the answer is yes.
In a logical format.
So we're still seeing potentially a 6 or 7 month lag, right? But we're starting to finally catch up for a number of our product line categories, which is good. I think everybody's starting to see that in general, which is positive. Yes, on the price increases, and of course, like everybody, we're concerned about tariffs and how that plays into it. But and that's out of our control at this point in time. The relative price of things are still kind of high relative to long-term averages. So, that's potentially going to be the next wave. We'll see some discounting occurring potentially. But as I said, 6 to 7 months, we still see a little bit of a challenge.
Okay. Now, you mentioned briefly the performance guarantee, the Legends.
Sure.
Tell us a little more about
that. So Legends had a performance guarantee. So we've had the 525 for almost 30 years, right? So that was an industry trend-setting guarantee that we put in place. So and it was relative to our valve products at the time only, right? So we would warrant that there were going to be no defects of an installed valve for the course of over the course of 5 years from date of purchase, right? And if there was, we'd pay the contractor who had to deal with the callback $25. Now that was 30 years ago. So fast forward now to 2022, we realize that's a little dated now, right? And so back to our performance guarantees, we decided, we got to jump in the game and up it. And so we're in the process right now of revamping it. There's going to a bunch of new communications will be coming out in the next couple of weeks around that. But we're going to be doing a 775 guarantee.
Okay.
And in turn, that's going to cover all of our products. So it's not just going to be valves anymore. We figure that's a little bit more of a impetus for contractors using our products, wholesalers purchasing from us, and realizing, we're still going to back everything we sell.
So 7 years, $75.
Correct. Yeah.
For all your products.
For all our products, right? Again, based on a callback, right? So if there's an actual issue with it, right, and there's a default or something along those lines, we'll be investigative and we'll take care of it.
Okay.
Something new, something big, something bold.
When that is new? When did you introduce it?
So, as part of this conversation, right?
Yeah,
So it's just rolling out. So everyone will be hearing about it as we're having this conversation. Whoever's queuing into the live.
That's definitely
feed,
new,
right? And then we have some new other communications coming out in the next couple of weeks.
All right, very good. We'll keep in touch with that.
Yeah.
So, you also mentioned some investments in technology.
Sure.
That I guess maybe helped you weather the storm that you didn't know was coming necessarily.
Absolutely.
Either. So tell me about that.
So let me start with, so Legends always continuously to evaluate what sort of technologies we need to be investing in, right? We've always been on the innovative side, trying to look at products and or services that are going to fit that. So the 775 fits into that service category where, hey, look, it's time to reinvest. It's time to do something new, something bold. The actual technological investments, we decided to look at cobots back in the 2019 timeframe. We've been looking at it for a number of years, but in 2019 we really engaged with a company called 6 Rivers, and so the cobot technology for us was in the warehouse, right? And we had no idea the pandemic was going to hit, just like anyone else. But oh my goodness, what a benefit it was to have made the decision at the time we did, because we integrated them starting at the end of 2019 right into 2020. So they were operational for the first couple of months before the pandemic hit. So as we were starting to go through the whole challenge that everyone was facing about staff off-site and not able to compete and the employment constraints that occurred, we've got these cobots that are helping us backfill the capabilities. So we're putting less wear and tear on our people, right? We quadrupled our the lines of coverage in the warehouse, quadrupled the number of POs our people could process.
We could do more with the
We could do more with so much less, right? And it wasn't about having less. It was just that at the time that was occurring, it was a really good fit. And as we continue to go through the supply chain constraints, the cobots have more than paid for themselves in investment, right? So we have I wouldn't say we have an army, but we have a plethora of them. And what it's done is it's also reduced the wear and tear on the employee side. So they're very employee friendly. When you're working in the operational side of the warehouse, there's a lot of mileage walked every day, pushing carts around. And so what the cobots have done is taken that away, right? Which is a huge benefit to them. So they're far more engaged as well, because they're not being worn down. They're not exhausted by the end of the day, which is just a really smart investment. And again, we had no idea. We were doing it for the right reasons. And then, timing was just...
Timing worked out
Timing was really good. In conjunction with that, we also invested in box packaging technology as part of that, right? So basically every SKU we have in our warehouse is measured out with a weight and dimensional size, right? And so if you understand how our business goes to market and the service operational side we offer, you can pretty much get anything you want, right? And up to a certain amount covered under FFA for freight. And so we have all kinds of different combinations of purchase orders coming inbound that have different items on them. And what we were able to do with the box packaging side was create literally customized packaging that made not only sense for us, but also for our major vendor in shipping, which is in this instance is FedEx, right? And so we just suddenly reduced the exposure and size of our overall packaging by making these customized boxes. And I think the box packaging system can make over 1,000 configurations of packaging for our products. So in conjunction with the cobots, oh my goodness, right now you're limiting how they're being utilized in the warehouse. We're not limiting, we're expanding if anything, right? Yeah, that's been a really, really, again, operationally speaking, huge decisions were made.
Much more efficient.
Oh my goodness.
No doubt about it.
Totally. And then again, it's so much easier for FedEx. Yes.
Now, you mentioned before we hit live that a lot of the material handling equipment is electric now.
Correct. So we just replaced our last piece of equipment, I believe this summer. It was still using a fossil fuel based. I think it was natural gas, and so now it's all electric in the warehouse, which is great. And the cobots they're electric as well, so they get plugged in at the end of the day.
Are we talking forklifts or something?
Yep, forklifts.
Yeah,
Yep, all our high-lows.
Uh-huh.
Yep, they're all battery charged
Okay.
now. So
Wow.
yeah, it's just less. There's no real exhaust in the warehouse
Right.
anymore.
Right.
So just again, positive benefit to the
Absolutely.
employees
Absolutely.
as well. There's another component as well on the technology investment side. Right. So that's in some artificial intelligence we've placed. Now it's software, so it's intuitive type software. We instituted that a couple of years ago. So before COVID hit, but that's been a huge benefit to us as well. So when I say it's artificial intelligence, basically what it is it's a learning tool where it allows itself to understand inbound orders coming from different customers. You know, so back to some customers might still write stuff on a napkin. Potentially, it could read that capability and put it into a standardized purchase order mechanism.
Okay.
And then our team basically just has to validate that that was correct, right? As opposed to having to input it as well.
Yes.
Right. So what that has allowed us to do is just become far more accurate, right? Again, our team on the customer service side is investing their time now in evaluating and verifying that the orders are correct, as opposed to putting stuff in and then having to do that. So it's reduced that wear and tear as well. And then, our customers are getting more. It's just becoming far more efficient.
Okay.
Right? So that was another piece of tech that we'd invested in over the last couple of years. And altogether, that's really positioned us well, having to deal with the pandemic and coming out of it, where we may not have performed to Legend's traditional standard, but we've kept an extremely high rate of fulfillment still relative to a lot of our competition.
Right.
So people were coming to us because they needed stuff, right? And their vendors were falling down, same concerns they had, same constraints, supply chain couldn't do it, and Legend could, right? It's really, it's been, and so we're finally getting back up to where we need to be on the fulfillment side.
Well, great to hear. So, listen, it's midway through September. Everybody knows it's been a tough year for the economy,
Sure.
the stock market, your investments, you name it. What do you see happening in the economy?
Well, so,
What's the forecast?
we haven't seen any general slowdown yet, which is a positive, right? And we don't think there's going to be. Now, there is definitely going to be some fall off here and there. And we know that residential construction, which is a big market focus for us, is going to go through what you might call a hiccup, right? Mortgage rates are very high right now. Originations are very low. Second loans, home equity loans, just originations are really down right now. We know that. I mean, that's a reality. Prices got a little too frothy. So we're going to see a little bleed off in that. We believe that. But here, let's not kid ourselves. As an industry in North America, we've underbuilt for the last 10 years, more than 10 years, right? And we're not going to see anything near what we saw in 07, 09, where new construction fell off a cliff. That's not going to happen. Multifamily is still going to continue to be strong, and we're a solid supporter. We're right in the middle there. So we're not anticipating a big fall off. And again, back to how Legend performs. Legend's likely and has in the past performed quite well because of that business model where everything you need behind the wall, the service guarantees, we'll get you what you need when you need it, kind of thing. That's been our approach all along, and it's a service approach. Yeah,
good.
So we don't really see any major hiccup, and if there is, it's something no one's able to kind of figure out.
Can't predict everything, but it sounds like a upbeat forecast at least.
It is correct, and again, So we typically do when other businesses start to see the real fall off, we typically do better because, again, back to our performance guarantees, which, there's the 100% order fulfillment rate, the 100% accuracy. Well, we also have the capabilities of, you need one item, you can break cartons. We're not going to charge you for that. It's not something we do. You get more than you need, you can send it back to us. We'll take it back, right? I mean, it's the kind of stuff that Legend does. That is our service orientation, and we will continue to do that. And so what happens is we outperform the market.
Right.
And that's typically what occurs, and we don't see that changing.
Perfect. Well, what do you see in store for Legend?
So as we covered technologies, we've covered what's happening in the market, we've covered what's going on with the pandemic, the future for Legend. So we're going to continue to invest where it makes sense to support our customers, right? So different technologies, different product categories. So we're going to continue with our HyperPure tube, right? So we've had a fair amount of investment there in adding new manufacturing capacity, right? And we'll continue to be reviewing that as we go along. As I mentioned, we had also expanded the initial warehouse in Auburn Hills back in 2018, right? So that was a nice piece of investment there. So that's allowed us to expand the capabilities to actually inventory more pipe so it's readily available, right? So that's one, as well as going after the product categories that are most highly sought after right now. So there's a lot in the press technology space, right? So we're investing there. There's a lot in the PEX and PERT fitting systems, right? Like cold expansion and cinch, right? So we're continuing to expand in those product categories and offering a selection of components that work for our customers. What else are we doing? So we have smart click push technology, right? So we've invested there, and that continues to be, again, in a time of labor constraints, this is where we want products like that, right? Where they make sense, they're smart, they're quick, and they may be a couple dollars more, not dollars, they might be a couple more percentage higher in cost, but you don't need the tools to use them, right? You don't need the major investments. They're a lot easier and quicker, especially when you're dealing with employment issues, right? Where you don't have enough labor to get your projects done. These are the smart investments for us to make, and they're going to benefit all of our customers as well as contractors down the road. Yeah.
Good. Well, anything else?
Boy, that's an awful lot we've covered, right? We've come through the pandemic very well.
Right.
And it's been a challenge, and don't get me wrong, we've gone through a tremendous amount of change internal. We've grown during the pandemic, which has been a challenge. We have a number of new employees now. And again, back to some of those investments we made, it's benefited us in bringing new employees on where the training ramp-up time has been reduced because we have new tech investments that help us communicate better with them and assist them in learning quicker. Yeah, it's been,
good.
It's been very good.
Well, sounds like you guys are doing as best as you can and better.
And better, that's correct. Yeah, there's never, we're never satisfied, right? One of our mottos is to astonish customers, and we continue to do that every day. And again, so the investments that we're making, the engagement we have on the products we're offering.
Good. Well, on that note, let's end it there for now.
It's been a pleasure
Wade,
speaking with
you.
you.
It's been too long since I saw you up there.
You got to come out and visit us again.
Come visit. Yeah, me and Brent will
visit us.
I'll plan a trip up to see you.
That sounds good.